hosts, Aidan Campbell
and Joanna Wells.
In many of our previous episodes, we have spoken about why pricing and good pricers need to work with other functions, whether finance, sales, and very commonly marketing. So in today's episode, we want to discuss what does a good marketer, what do they need to know about pricing?
As you probably know, pricing is one of the 4 P's of marketing. And obviously, over years, it's been part of the marketing department and still is in some companies. But especially in the past 2 years, pricing has moved away from the conventional sort of pricing marketing function, who would be more involved in branding and content marketing to some degree, and internal communications and marketing. Now, pricing in the last 2 years, latest pricing is becoming very much in its own right a domain, a discipline of its own. It's got specialist skills, specialist mindsets, different technology, and a lot of marketers are becoming sort of disconnected to what that actually is, what it means, and if indeed they can learn those skills and whether they should. So I suppose today we're going to discuss some of the techniques, the mindsets, approaches that are occurring in or evolving in the discipline, just to see what you can take out from that and if you can apply that as a marketer in your business.
You know, I think in some companies, especially B2B and probably some more traditional or less advanced companies, you will sometimes see negativity about marketing, you know, whereby it's seen as dollars wasted. I've even heard it described as the colouring in department on occasions, which is quite a disparaging way to look at it. You know, I look at marketing, and I suppose you can either be brand building, or I much prefer the direct response methodology, where marketers, you know, go out there, put out an offer and expect to get a response from customers or potential customers. And I think a lot of that stems from, you know, people like Joe Polish and some of the better, you know, copywriters back over the years, you know, probably from the 40s onwards, that really put out an offer, expect to get a response, get people to put their hand up and get something to happen. And in that direct response environment, I always think there's a much higher chance that the marketers will be working with pricing, because there's a real dollar delivery from that marketing. When it's more of a branding thing, sometimes I think you can be 2 steps away, but obviously if you're building a value-based business, that branding has to be very much interlinked with what you're doing. What I'm basically saying is you need to be willing to work with pricing. They have to work hand in glove.
Yeah, you know, many years ago, the marketer would do that. And in some companies, they do all the pricing. But I think, you know, tips that they can learn from, you know, pricers that are in a specialized and dedicated pricing function, as opposed to a mixed sort of marketing and pricing function, is that, you know, the approach of value-based pricing and how to translate value in economic terms in the price algorithm. A lot of marketers, you know, may not have that technical analytical skill set to turn what is fundamentally quite an abstract concept value into numbers. And really this is where, you know, especially in terms of optimization and dynamic pricing, where prices are going and why it's becoming a little bit more removed from conventional marketing. I suppose another area I think that needs to be developed is that understanding of branding. A lot of marketers are very caught up in brand power and almost forget that underlying that brand power is customer value. They're very connected. And when you disconnect customer value from brand power, you can't explain brand power very well. It becomes too abstract. So I think finally, you know, what marketers could learn would be, you know, more technology, better analytics, and really using data to justify their market research on customers. A lot of market research is very useful. It's very interesting. It's thought-provoking. But in terms of pricing, it's very difficult to use and translate that into an algorithm, a price setting process. And a lot of pricing teams have to scratch their head thinking what use can we make of this data, this research, because really there's not much I can do here. It's still too high level, so they have to go off and sort of do a lot of test and learn themselves to make sense of it.
One thing I'll say is a lot of marketers, quite a percentage, do not really have a focus on the numbers. They do not really have a focus on profitability, P&L, those sort of aspects. In an ideal world, yes, we wish they would, but obviously, sometimes that's not their exact skill set. And of course, there's a lot of demand also for people in branding, visuals, campaigns, that sort of stuff. What I really look for is somebody, it's the mirror image of what we say about pricers. We always say a good pricer needs to be able to work with different functions. The shoe is on the other foot also. We need marketers who are willing to work with pricing. It's not a one-way street, and that you have to have that willingness to work, willingness not just to run off with a campaign and not really think about how it integrates with the pricing department. It has to work together fundamentally, and I'll be honest, from my experience, a lot of marketers just don't do that. You can argue a lot of pricing teams don't do that, but I think a lot of marketers are also guilty of that weakness. And it's again, if two horses are running off in a different direction, it will tear the business apart. And you need people to be pulling in the same direction, working as a team without the one-upmanship. Sometimes when I hear that pricing works in the marketing department, I sometimes hear an alarm bell go off, because it basically says to me that marketing holds the upper hand, and then the pricing aspect of it might not really get the equal saying or equal listening that it deserves.
Yeah, I suppose, to sum it up, really, there needs to be, good working relationships between the pricing department and the marketing department. But for that to really happen, I think the marketing department needs to learn what real pricing, latest pricing is, and then they'd be in a better position to utilize that information to really hone in and get an evidence-based understanding of different categories, different brands. Because as Aidan says, pricing is one aspect of the pie. Really you need promotions and marketing campaigns to be really aligned with pricing, and vice versa, to really capitalize on the value you're trying to deliver and the targets that you have to achieve. And that's only done through education, understanding skill sets, understanding the changes in the market, and working well together in terms of teamwork and strategy, and finding the right people. So I suppose, if any of this resonates with you, feel free to go on our website at taylorwells.com.au and fill in our complimentary pricing audit, and we can cover all those things and get back to you.
Yeah, we look forward to speaking to you. And, as always, we always say you keep your eye on the focus, keep your eye on the prize. And reality is, for a marketer, the real long-term prize is not a nice logo or branding or imagery. The real long-term goal that you should be working towards is company profitability and success. And, pricing has to be part of that. So, yeah, we look forward to speaking to you, and hopefully you'll reach out and we'll have a chat. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks a lot.